Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Favor, and in today's tutorial we're going to be learning how to make this cute headband, okay, which is absolutely perfect for beginners. So let's get right into it. These are the materials we'll be needing for this tutorial. So we'll need some stitch markers, your measuring tape, your yarn needle, and a pair of scissors for cutting our yarn. And this is the yarn I'm going to be using. It's a fingering lightweight yarn, and I'm going to be using 2 strands of this yarn, okay. So you can use a worsted weight yarn, and you can use just 1 strand of a worsted weight yarn, but I'm going to be using 2 strands for this tutorial. This is the label of the yarn I'm using, which is the fingering lightweight yarn. It's a Nigerian made yarn, okay. It's just 40 grams. So if you don't have this, you can use any yarn available to you, okay. The hook size I'm using for this tutorial is a size 4mm hook. You can use any hook size and yarn of your choice. So to get started, you get your yarn, and we are going to be making a slip knot, okay. So this is how you make your slip knot, and there we have our slip knot. And after that, you're just going to make chain. I'm going to be making 15 chains, okay, which is about 3 inches when you measure it. So you just make the chain. You can make it 2 inches, you can make it 4 inches, but I'm just making a 3-inch chain, which is going to be the wideness of my band. Once you have your chain as wide as you want it, it can be any number of chains, it doesn't matter. The next thing now is that we are going to place a single crochet on the second chain from our hook, okay. So you can see you put your first single crochet into that second chain from the hook. Then you're going to place a stitch marker right on top of that very first single crochet that we just made, okay. So place your stitch marker there, and then we're going to keep making single crochets on top of each of the following chain stitches. So into the next, you make a single crochet. Into the next chain, we are going to make another single crochet. So we're just going to keep repeating single crochets on each of the chains all the way around until we get to the end of the row. You know, when I started, I told you I was going to make a chain of 15, which was going to be about 3 inches for me. You can choose to make any number of chain that you prefer, which is going to be the wideness of your band, okay. And then since we skipped the first chain and started working from the second chain, instead of 15, I'm going to be having a total of 14 single crochets all the way across. Now I'm towards the end of the row, remaining just 1 stitch for me, okay. So I'm just going to place my last single crochet into that very last chain, and that will be for this row. I have a total of 14 single crochets, and when you measure it, you can see that it is around 3 inches, okay. And this is without stretching your work. So when you lay it out flat, you can see I have about 3 inches in wideness, which is the wideness of my band. So you can choose to increase or reduce it depending on how you want your band to be. Now to continue our second row, which is going to be row 2, we are going to chain 1, okay, and then turn our work. So you chain 1, turn your work, and we are going to place a single crochet into that very first space there, okay. You can see that space right there. That's where you're going to place your very first single crochet, okay. And then you remember to place your stitch marker at each of your first single crochet for each row, so that you will not misplace your stitches when you get to the end of the row. So after you put your stitch marker into the next space, you make your next single crochet. Into the next space, you make another single crochet. So we're just basically repeating single crochet into each of the following stitch space all the way around until we get to the end of the row, okay. So now I'm towards the end of the row, okay. And then this is my last stitch where I have my stitch marker, which is the first stitch from the previous row. So you take out your stitch marker and place your last single crochet there, okay. So that's what I'm just doing. I'm just placing my last single crochet, which completes it for this row. You can do a number check to make sure that you have the same number on the first and the second row. You chain 1, turn your work, and into the very first stitch space there, you place a single crochet there. After that, you remember to place your stitch marker on that very first stitch you just made, and then we are just going to keep making single crochets on each of the following chain stitch spaces, okay. So just keep placing single crochets all the way until you get to the end of the row. So this is basically the pattern we are to be repeating for this headband. So you just keep making single crochet row after row, row after row, until you have the length that you need for your headband. Just checking in with you after a few rows, about 14 rows I just made, and I'm checking in to show you what my work looks like so far. So I have like about 3 inches so far in length. Okay, so I'm just showing you what it looks like, and it's still 3 inches across. So you can go ahead and measure yours as well if you wish. So we are just going to keep repeating what we've just been doing until it is long enough for the length that we need. Okay, so you chain one, turn your work into the very first stitch, place a single crochet, into the next stitch you place a single crochet, into the next stitch you place a single crochet. So basically just repeating that row after row until we have it the length that we need, which is going to be enough to go all the way around your head. So this is just me working on the rows. Okay, so you just want to take your time and be careful and keep working the single crochet row after row until you get the length that you need. Okay, so this is another checking in. I'm just showing you the length of my work right now. It has actually gotten a bit longer, but it's still not yet able to go around my head. Okay, so I'm just measuring it. As you can see, it's about 11 inches in length, and my head circumference is 22 inches. So you go ahead and measure your head circumference and know how many inches you have. Okay, so mine is 22 inches, and out of that 22 inches I'm going to be making only 18 inches in length because this work is going to stretch. All right, so you want to measure around your head. If you have 20 inches in your head circumference, you take out 4 and you have 16, that means you're going to make 16. But mine is 22 inches, so I'm going to take out 4 and then I'll be having 18 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to be making this headband to be 18 inches in length. Okay, so just keep working until you have the length that you want. So now I have the length enough to go around my head. Okay, so I'm just measuring it for you to see. It is about 10 inches like I said it was going to be, and remember my head circumference is 22 inches, so you'll see that when you stretch this you're going to have 22 inches. It can even go beyond 22, but we'll just leave it at this. Now after the length is enough to go around your head, we are just going to fasten off. So you chain one, pull up a loop, okay, and then we are going to cut in between that loop there. Okay, when you cut it, you pull the other excess yarn and pull on the remaining thread there to tighten the yarn. So we're going to weave that in later. And you want to note the right and the wrong side of your work. Okay, so you want the right side to be facing you, and then we are going to fold over the band like so, and then this is how we are going to fold it so that we can be able to join it to give us that twisted like effect. So you fold this end in half, place the other end in between the fold like so. You want to arrange it so that the edges are well aligned together, and then you fold the other one over the top again like so. So this is what we'll have. Okay, so I'm just repeating that for you to see. So this is how we are going to fold it, and so that we can be able to join it to give us that twisted effect. To join, you want to get a yarn that is about 10 to 15 inches long. Okay, and then you want to thread your needle with it. Okay, so just follow the process like I am doing right now. So after you have threaded your needle, you're now going to proceed to join the headband together. So remember what I showed you earlier, the way we are going to fold them over the self. Make sure the right side is facing you, and then you fold over the top like so. Okay, so yeah, and when you're folding, you want to make sure that those tails are outside and not inside of your work. Okay, so make sure that the tails are outside and the edges are well aligned so that you can be able to sew. So this is what it's going to be like. So hold that top firmly so that one of it doesn't slip out, and then we are going to take our yarn needle and start joining. So you want to pick on top of each of the folded parts, on top of each of them like so. Make sure you pass your yarn needle through all of them, and then you want to use that tail end on that edge and tie your yarn so that you secure it. Okay, so if you don't have a tail end, you can just tie it like normal when you're sewing. Okay, so after you've tied that, you want to tie it very well so that it doesn't lose. Okay, and then we're just going to keep sewing now. So you pick the top stitches of each of the panels, okay, that you folded, which is 4. you sew that part. So I'm just going to tie this again because I noticed that it's a bit loose. So make sure that yours is really tight so that when you tug on it, it doesn't pull. Okay, so and then you just keep sewing. Okay, I'm just passing my needle through all the way to the other side. So you just want to keep sewing all the way until you get to the other edge. Now I'm towards the end of that joining. Okay, so once you do your last sewing stitch, that you want to use that other tail end and secure that place. So I'm just cutting it short so that I can tie it faster. Okay, so you just want to make knot. I like to knot 2 times. Okay, and that secures that. And then the next thing to do now is that we are going to weave in the ends. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the right side of our work. Okay, so as you can see, so it's looking pretty already. So we are just going to weave in those ends to make our work more neat. So to weave in our ends, you take your yarn needle and then you want to pass it through in between the stitches closest to the parts where you want to weave in. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just picking in between the single crochet stitches. Okay, I'm doing this first before threading my needle because the end I have there is very short. Okay, so you now pass it through your needle like so, and then you want to pull on your needle. So you can get stuck sometimes, just pull tightly and then we cut off the excess yarn. So we have weaved that part in, so we are going to do the same thing for this other side as well. Okay, so make sure that the knot is really tight so that it doesn't come undone later. So now you pass your needle through in between the stitches. Make sure it is not showing on the right side of your work, it is in between the stitches. So you pick a few stitches, and once you've done that, you want to pass your needle, your thread through your needle as well, pull on that part tightly and then cut off the excess yarn as well. And now the next thing is for you to turn your work inside out and our headband is ready. So this is a super beginner friendly easy project to do and help you practice your single crochet stitches. Okay, it took me about 2 hours to make this headband and this is the final look of it. I also went ahead and made it in another color. And that will be all for this tutorial. You can also check out my other videos. Also don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching. Bye.